Welcome everyone to a long overdue episode of O-Tokusho. I'm Alex,
I'm Jack.
and we've been kind of busy lately, haven't we?
It's been forever.
No kidding. You have more of a reason to be busy than I do. Why don't you fill the nice folks in?
I recently moved from New York to Maine. I don't want to be too specific because I don't want to dox myself, but I've moved to Maine. That took up most of my time for like the last half year, moving to Maine and getting a job. Recently got a job, but I'd been searching for one for like the last 3 months. And yeah, that's taken up almost all of my time.
Yeah, it's been hard for me to like ask him to do recordings just because I know he's like always busy and like stuff like that. And like I've been working on a bunch of stuff too. I've got work has picked up for me quite a bit since. But we're back. We're here. I can't say for myself, but I can't speak for you, Jack. But not a whole lot has changed besides just stories that we talk about.
Well, I mean, that's kind of life, right? Also, the fact that, the podcast / channel hasn't, taken off in any measurable way yet, so...
We've had a few videos here and there. The Film Red review came out, that one did okay. Naruto video didn't do great. As long as, we get the stuff out, I feel like it's better than not doing that, which is why we're doing this now.
It's unfortunate because it used to be the opposite for content creation, where it was quality over quantity, but in the modern age, it's certainly not that way anymore.
I mean, until we get to a point where we can reliably say we get a decent amount of viewers per video, we're just gonna, at least I'm gonna try and do, just get out kind of small stuff for the most part, just to get stuff out. That's kind of the way things are for right now. I have a few video ideas that I want to do. I promise I'm still working on the Big Mom video. It's just very hard to stay on track for the kind of boring information segments that we have. Boring in quotes being just that I need to just, it's very simple editing, but it's a lot of text.
It's tedious. Yeah. It's very tedious.
So that video is still coming out. We're planning a video about Dungeon Meshi, which is I'm in the dark about, but that's kind of the whole point of that video.
While thinking about the video and writing notes and stuff for it, I thought of a couple of other series I'd like to do the same thing
Okay,
for
good.
as well.
That's good.
And they're not even traditional mangas either. They're the other two that I'm thinking of are both... Well, one's a manhwa, and the other one's... I don't think they have a specific term for it, but it's a manga, but it's French. So that'll be interesting. And they are going to be... Oh, man, I highly... that's going to be the tone of every single one of those is going to be... I highly recommend them because they're good, but nobody reads them. Besides, the people who read everything like me.
Right.
Which kind of puts into question what my tastes even are, considering how much garbage I've read. But, I can still tell trash from quality. I'm just willing to swim through mountains of trash to get to the quality.
But hey, I mean, hopefully we can make a mark and get people to read these series, if anything.
Oh, they certainly deserve it. It'll be the greatest accomplishment of my life as far as this community is concerned, would be to even slightly turn the dial on those series,
Right. I'm trying to think of what I can sort of tell about my ideas that I've had. Yeah, I mean, I kind of had an idea about, doing a video on war arcs, sort of, now that, My Hero is doing one, and Naruto's is over, and there could be one coming for One Piece, and I don't know. It's in the planning stages. It's hard to say, really.
So, with that in mind, because a lot of these series are coming to an end very soon, anyway. We've said this earlier, but I'm very, very concerned for the livelihood and well-being of Shonen Jump as a company, because they might not have planned it out on purpose, because all these series have kind of started in different points. Black Clover and My Hero were very similar in their start date, but Jujutsu Kaisen was slower than them. They came out after. Undead Unluck was after as well. One Piece has just been simmering forever. One Punch Man's been kind of, sporadic, and Hunter x Hunter is whatever. The main flagship titles for Shonen Jump are kind of all coming to a close roughly at the same time. Besides One Piece, which is still coming to a close. We've been promised by Oda that there is an end. But it's logically and thematically and narratively One Piece should be coming to a close within our lifetimes, which is good. But the other series that I mentioned on this list, they're all gonna be over, like, within 20 to 30 chapters, I feel.
By the end of the year, if I had to guess.
The only series that I'm dubious about is Undead Unluck, because, so as a spoiler warning for people, Undead Unluck has a system of kind of resetting their own universe. They've done it once already. So, they lost. Like, straight up, they lost. Their main enemy, God, as a manga and anime is wont to have, but their main enemy, God, won. The Earth was destroyed and everybody died and, they failed. But they had a relic or an artifact or whatever that allowed them to reset their time, basically like a loop, but with their memories intact so that they can try doing it better the next time. In the series, they introduced the concept that this isn't even the first time they've done this. Fuko, not Fucko, that's not their name. And Fuko is going to be sent to do the loop again instead of the previous head of their organization, because her powers are so tremendously beneficial to humanity that her having the benefit of time and experience is going to be best, for humanity if she goes back in time. So the series has basically been speedrunning to get to the end point again, where Fuko now is the boss of the organization, and she's finding all of the other negators just by herself, but with, the advantage of extreme foresight and knowledge. And she's making, crazy teams that should be impossible by, taking characters out of their, predetermined timelines earlier or later than they were supposed to be, to basically maximize their potential. One of the characters that was introduced in the series, who is supposed to be, anyway, the second or, third strongest negator in history, dies in the series. I can't think of her name at the moment, but she's the one who's unchangeable. She's the lady who has the vectors from Elfenlied. She's got them invisible psychic hands, but she dies in the original part of the series because of old age. She's old and she uses her powers too much and she croaks. Fuko brings her from her time into the future as a teenager and just keeps her around at the prime of her youth. But having spoken to her older self, so she has the skill sets of her maximum potential, but with a younger body, she basically Edo Tensei's her. From Naruto.
So it's kind of like what any of us would do if we were isekai'd into a fucking existing
the
show.
Real world, but in the past. Yeah. Or the real world in the past, or an existing show that we know the narrative of. She's doing that, right? She's basically isekai'd herself into the past of her own series. And she's been taking advantage of everything. And some of the, shortcuts she's been taking have been pretty hype. Purposefully losing missions so that she gets curses that she can take advantage of immediately. Or rules, I guess. And unlocking missions that were supposed to be hidden or only, attempted at the very end of the timeline. So that they wouldn't be able to succeed in time because God's already there trying to destroy the planet. So, she's cutting lines, she's getting people and snagging them out of, areas where they're not supposed to be. She's even saving people's lives that died in the future because they were better negators than the people who inherited their powers after they died with them. It's some cool shit. Because of the way the series is set up now, knowing that there's this, ability to go back, which, mind you, it's heavily implied that they can't do it again. This is the last time around. But, it's anime.
It's fully possible for them to do it again.
Yeah, it's entirely within the realm of possibility for them to do it again. Even though they stated that they can't, but, it just happens. So, unless they do that, which doesn't seem to be the case, we should be done at around the same time as everybody else. But they're the only ones, or the only series that I kind of am, a little iffy on. Everyone else, though, I think is going to be done within 20 to 30.
This is
I cannot
this is
see
a fucking Demon King resurrects himself in Zeldris in Seven Deadly Sins sort of situation. Where you think it's about to be over, and then oh no, here's an entire other arc after that.
Yeah, it turns out the demons ain't shit. There's this other guy who's actually secretly the alter ego for your wizard president, who's actually the main bad guy. I mean, speaking of like evil wizard president, how do you feel about Black Clover?
Honestly, like I haven't been keeping like too much track of it recently. I saw a poster for the new movie that they're coming out with that looks pretty cool. Sword of the Wizard King, I think it's called, which looks pretty.
Okay, does it take place back in time, or is it just like an alternate universe situation?
It might be an alternate universe situation. I just saw the poster.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, because until we get confirmation of this canon, it's just going to be, a movie with the characters at this point in time.
Which, I mean, that's fine. And as far as anime movies
go. Yeah, that's what, like, all the Naruto movies did.
Let me see what else. My Hero Academia is it's getting somewhere, that's for sure.
It is certainly getting somewhere. Can we get a fucking, some appreciation for our boy? Togyami's
fucking my guy. Work. He's coming in.
Absolutely. Doing more than the seasoned professional heroes are.
Also, can we get a what percentage of Dabi's body mass is still like intact check? There is no fucking shot that dude's still alive, but he is.
He's the last time we saw, he was a single frame of him as a screaming skull on fire. He's turning into the Ghost Rider real quick. And last time I checked, that doesn't mean he should have faculties to function.
No. He shouldn't have. I don't think he has eyes anymore. I don't think he has
No, he shouldn't have nerves. Forget just eyes. He shouldn't have nerves. He shouldn't have blood vessels. Even if he has bone, right, left over and barest remnants of flesh, that doesn't mean he should be able to move. They've already established in My Hero that these are still human, right? People still have semi-regular human biology, and unless we find out that Dabi had another quirk, that mutation that allowed him to control his soul and not his flesh, this doesn't make sense.
His eyes are burned out, his teeth are fucking rotting away. He still has hair, which is something.
Somehow, yeah. But, to be fair, his entire family has that thing where they're just, on fire, but their hair doesn't get affected by it, so that could just be a
It's possible that, All For One gave him hyper-regeneration, and he's just, burning away...
Burning at the same rate he's regenerating?
But... Yeah. That's the thing, I don't quite know, because on the one hand, I thought that if All For One gave you a quirk that wasn't compatible with your quirk, you just turned into a Nomu. But then I rewatched the Lady Nagant fight, and he just, gave her, fucking airwalk, and I'm like, what the huh? He can just do that?
Yeah, he just, yeah, apparently he can, and he always has been able to. The Nomus, are primarily just a way for him to experiment giving multiple quirks to one person. With Nagant, it's one, right? And with, what's the guy with the naval beam?
Aoyama.
And with Aoyama, it was also only one. So, he can give single quirks no problem. He's been shown to do that historically. Multiple quirks is difficult. If you look at Shredder, he's been, or not Shredder, Jesus, Spinner, he was, I think he was given 2 quirks by
something
him?
like that.
Yeah, and he's turning into basically a Nomu. He's, frothing at the mouth, he's becoming a dinosaur monster, and he's, losing the ability to, think straight. I think it's multiple quirks that really does it in for you. Now, mind you, I'm still not going to give Dabi any excuses besides narrative bullshit for him still being alive.
This frame is, haunting. He should not...
He got hit by, 8 finishers, and he's still alive.
Homie's skin is gone.
We got faked out. Yeah, we got faked out 4 times. He's like a walking skeleton with tiny bits of skin on his hands and his hair. It's just... It just doesn't make sense, man.
Honestly, though, I've been loving these past few chapters, though. They've been so good.
Oh, they've been really good. They've been keeping the action non-fucking stop. Even when it's not, just Deku versus, All For One.
Yeah, it's been great. Let's hear what else. One Piece has been going hard.
It has been. We've officially passed that lull period post-arc, and we're, fully into the new Egghead, whatever the hell this is supposed to be arc.
We've got...
It's just been going off.
Among Us right now.
Yeah,
so, okay,
a little bit.
So let's talk about that. Who do you think is the traitor Vegapunk?
I don't think it's any of the Vegapunks. Yeah. I think it's too easy. I think it's none of the Vegapunks, and that Vegapunk fundamentally is too good of a person to have that. And I think instead, when he says it's been under his nose this whole time, I'm thinking it's going to be like an assistant or something else or somebody else that he has given a lot of personal agency to.
I heard a theory that it was like a prototype Vegapunk.
Oh, like a pseudo clone. Okay. All the Vegapunks right now have like a slice of his brain.
Yeah.
So how would a prototype even work?
Maybe it's like...
Maybe he didn't give any of his brain, which is why it's like potentially more evil
like
than actual Vegapunk. Because like he doesn't truly have any of his personality.
Also, fucking Vegapunk researching poneglyphs. Dog, you should know that that's not a great idea.
Yeah, the world government doesn't exactly have a good history when it comes to something like that. Right. I'd understand and forgive you if you don't remember O'Hara. No one does anymore because they're not supposed to. You were old enough for that to happen.
He was there.
Remember that.
He went there.
Robin's story. Yeah, you remember Robin's story. It's not... You should be aware of what happens if you research poneglyphs. This isn't a good time.
Also, like, I'm seeing, like, posts and stuff. It's like, people are, like, rooting for Kid. It's like, oh, we're gonna be rooting for Kid for this fight. No! We don't root for Kid. No.
I want Shanks to straight up kill Kid. I want Kid to die. I understand that people like Kid, but Kid is written as an expendable character. He has no redeeming qualities. He has no redeeming qualities. He's not even Luffy's actual rival. He's a self-declared rival because Luffy, like, showed him up once in prison. Like, so there's no narrative stakes to keeping him alive. He's just a dickbag who's committed war crimes that we've seen. Like, on-screen war crimes. And if
he succeeds here in beating Shanks, he's just gonna commit more against the Giants.
Yeah, war crimes. He's just gonna keep killing people. He's actually just straight up a villain, but like he's been framed as a good person because he's a supernova, right? Even though everybody hates Apu, but like, you know, Apu's hateable because he's a long arm person or whatever, and he's not as cool and like ripped as
also,
as
why
Kid.
are we rooting against Dory and Broggy? They just got back, you know.
Yeah, our giant bros have finally come back in like 800 chapters. No, but probably even more than that. Like, Jesus, it's probably been like close to 1,000 chapters since we've seen them or more. There's no reason for them to be able to win either. Out of everybody in their crew, Kid is easily the strongest. Killer is strong, but he's not strong enough to kill somebody from Shanks' crew unless they're like a kid. And Kid isn't able to compete against Shanks, even remotely. Shanks is gonna Conqueror's Haki his anus out of his body. Like, there's no way he's gonna survive. I want him to die so hard. Like, because this is also, he even stated it himself. There's a reason now in the story for him to be dead. Because he says, the last time I fought him, he took my arm. I don't think he's gonna just go for another limb this time. Come on, dude. You're asking to die. And I want it to happen, and I'm gonna let him die.
Like, there's like some suspension, like, oh, Law versus Blackbeard, right? Because like, you know, we kind of like Law at this point, but like,
yeah, we kind of have to.
I don't really give a shit about Kid.
Yeah, like, there's absolutely no reason for us to believe that he has any, like, plot armor to help him, like Law does. Because we have, you know, that Chekhov's gun of this immortal surgery, and we also have the fact that his narrative is over, right? We learned about his backstory, he got his revenge and everything, but he's been pretty clearly established as, like, the reluctant extra member of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. He didn't agree to anything, but every time he's shown up, he's always helped Luffy. Kid only was willing to do that on threat of being killed by Kaido. So, like, we got nothing for him. We got nothing for our boy. He's got no plot armor. He's dead as hell. And I'm so glad. I've been wanting more deaths anyway. I've already told you about this for One Piece. I've been wanting more characters to die. Because it's a series that's this long, in a world this brutal, with fights this, like, intense. There's no way people haven't been dying. Oh, by the way, Alex, so I saw a TikTok, because I don't usually go on TikTok, you know this, but I saw a TikTok that was shared via Reddit, and I do go on Reddit because I share artwork there. On this TikTok that was shared to Reddit, there was a kill count comparison to, like, do flexes between, like, anime protagonists, and Luffy was on that list for a kill count for 0. I am gonna call bullshit. My man has definitely killed at least 100 people. There's no way he has not accidentally killed, like, Navy schmucks. There's no way. in one of the recent semi-recent, chapters, within a couple arcs or so, he, like, King Kong, well, not King Kong, but, like, he Kong punches, a regular Marine. There's no way. That man is dead as hell. We've seen him, like, Red Hawk through an entire, battalion of people, which is shown to do, like, piercing fire damage. I saw that and I could not comment here because that was so ludicrous to me. It's like, Luffy kills about as infrequently as Batman does. It's just, in theory, it sounds nice. Practically speaking, he kills so many people.
It's kind of baffling to me that people like Kid as much as they do.
I think it's just because he's cool.
Yeah, I guess
that's
so.
it. Like, people still like edgy characters. Like, the archetype of, I'm bad, I look badass, and I don't care what people think, that archetype will never die. Edgelords are just a subdivision of our population. And not even just a subdivision of our population, I'd argue that edgelords are, like, a part of our development cycle as an animal. Like, between the ages of, like, 11 to 25, you have the potential to metamorphosis into an edgelord and get stuck in that phase or develop out of it later in life. That's just the thing that people get into, and considering the demographics for anime, it's not even remotely surprising that there's a lot of edgelords that probably really like Kid. Because Kid's just an asshole. Like, he's just an asshole that kills people.
I've always been under the opinion that every other anime fan has really strange tastes in favorites. And, like, this, I know this is, like, just a me issue, perhaps, but I just...
Yeah, that sounds like a very personal problem. It's like, man, why does everybody else have bad taste? It couldn't possibly be me.
Sometimes I, like, see girls simping over Caesar Clown, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Okay, no. Caesar Clown has the Onceler quality to him.
He's a Tumblr sexy man.
Yes, he's a Tumblr sexy man.
I don't know, man.
I know. I agree with most of your tastes anyway, so you can at least have an ally in that. I subscribe to the same rules that a lot of people do. You know, the rule of cool still applies. If a character, like Zoro, for example, is just super badass, but isn't, like, a bad person, default, like, S-tier character. He's just sick, nothing really troublesome about his character whatsoever, and if anything, his only faulting qualities are hilarious, but not actually, like, problematic. Outside of, like, that particular rule, it just goes back to personal taste. And our tastes align more or less the same, at least when it comes to characters. Not necessarily storytelling, but...
Yeah, it's a different conversation.
But I don't get it either with some of these, really popular characters. Because I've been keeping up to date with, like, the popularity polls for the, One Piece characters and for the other, series. Because, it's on, like, the cover or spread or whatever for, the chapters whenever they come out and stuff. And, like, I still, and this is going to be a hot take for the One Piece community, I don't get the hype around Law.
For Law? Yeah,
for Law. I don't get the hype around Law either. He's like a 90s fucking grunge band, like, singer, and he also happens to be a doctor with a bunch of tattoos.
It's just
I just don't get it. Yeah, it's just hot guy syndrome, I guess. He's got the goatee and everything.
That's sort of the opposite end of that spectrum. I don't get why people like Buggy so much. Like, Buggy's
just hideous. Buggy. You just don't understand why he's, like, top tier, though.
Like, there is a concerning amount of women on the internet who like Buggy, and I'm like...
Oh, I didn't realize this was sexual. That's hilarious.
It might be, but at the same... Like, I just don't know.
Well, I mean, if it's a female-based, audience that enjoys Buggy the Clown, it's probably sexual. If we're being realistic here, I know that there's, like, a sizable chunk of the population who's non-binary and, everything. Sexuality aside, a majority of the population is straight. They're still straight, cis, whatever. So, if you have a huge population of women that like this male character, it's probably a sex thing. Which I find gross, because it's Buggy. Now the real question is, Alex, which version of Buggy are we talking about? Is it original Buggy, when he still kind of had drip? Or is it new Buggy, where he has negative drip, because he's a living pillow? Though.
It's just Buggy in general.
Oh, it's all... Oh my god.
Like, original Buggy, fucking Impel Down Buggy.
Prison Buggy. Yeah, like, all the... That's so weird. Like, Prison Buggy has, like, a bad boy appeal to him, but that's only because it's prison. Buggy's never been a bad boy. He's fucking Buggy. But, like, man, that's weird. That is really weird. Oh, strange tastes. Do a spoiler again, but I'm going to talk about for Knights of the Apocalypse, the sequel series to Seven Deadly Sins. We all know the original kind of questionable relationships in Seven Deadly Sins between, like, Meliodas and Elizabeth.
Sure.
When I say questionable, I'm not saying, like, they don't deserve to be together, because obviously they've been through some shit. Like, they get it. They've earned this. It's, you know, the relationship is sound. But, like, on the surface, it seems like an excuse to let, like, a 1,000-year-old, you know, dwarf be in a relationship with a 16-year-old girl who happens, you know, to be, you know, like a fully developed woman, but that doesn't mean anything. That was already a little weird until we realized, oh, it's like reincarnation stuff, right? They've actually become, like, legitimate, you know, lovers and, you know, a couple hundreds of times. Multiple lifetimes worth of forming a relationship again, you know, legitimately and everything. So when Meliodas just randomly gropes and sexually assaults this teenage girl, it's secretly, you know, his, like, forever wife or whatever. So even with that kind of weird, like, gray area, they've hit a new low. They've hit a new low in the Knights of the Apocalypse. In the series, we have, you know, Lancelot, right?
Yeah.
Bond's son? Yeah, so we have Lancelot, Bond's son, and there's a character, I think it's Guinevere, is named Guinevere, who is, right now, I think, 12? And she's or 9, actually. She's, like, upsettingly young, but she's introduced as Lancelot's wife.
Okay.
And her character introduction is making out with him. He's, like, 16 right now. And she's like a child. Actually a child. It was so gross when I saw it at first, and and I was like, you better explain yourself. And then they did. The explanation for this is not that she's actually like a 7,000-year-old immortal lolly. No, it's worse. It's a weaker explanation. It's the fact that she has a magical ability to see the future. And she has seen in her future, in all of her possible futures, right, because she has, like, a guaranteed success rate on her, like, future abilities or whatever, that she always gets together with Lancelot, and they always end up having, like, a tragic love story with each other. But that he's, like, her destined, you know, love interest. And she's basically cutting in line and just doing the nasty as a child because she wants to spend more time with him. So it's a question of, okay, so is this person mentally old enough to do this and is just physically fucked up or something else? But I don't think that discussion should even be had because it's different than Elizabeth, who's questionably old enough to do it. This character, there's no question that this character is old enough to do this. She is not. The answer is that she is definitely not old enough to do this. There's not a country on Earth that has an age of consent low enough to you know, equal to what's happening here. The author also goes on to kind of sexualize her in the fact that she dresses up in a provocative uniform to try to entice Lancelot, even though she's a child. She's got nothing going on. But she's wearing, like, a dress with a boob window and shit. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, it's starting to get suspicious why this keeps happening with this particular author. Yeah, I had to share that, and I'm sorry if I spoiled some things for people, but honestly, what I just shared isn't that much of a spoiler, and if anything, should be a warning.
That's more of a disclaimer than a spoiler.
It's rough. It's rough. I'm still gonna read it because I've started and I want to finish. Yeah, I've committed to it, but I'm not gonna be approving of what's going on there either.
Oh, okay. Well, that's upsetting.
Yeah. So glad you know that now. Sorry about that, Alex.
Since we don't really have a whole lot of correspondence with our viewers, I suppose this is more of a question to you than them, but you guys can answer if you want to. How would you feel about doing, like, branching out into more different kinds of content?
Yeah. So, like, streaming and
stuff? But also, like, reviews or videos about, like, video games, for instance. We've had this discussion before.
Sure.
I kind of want to put it out there for anyone who might want to, who, like, listens to us. Anyone out there in the void.
Yeah, in this vast emptiness of, like, 3 people.
Like, I do want to branch out, too, to, like, Japanese movies and stuff like that, like, live action stuff.
I mean, I don't actually think that counts as, I don't think that counts as branching out.
Yeah, fair enough. I can see.
Because we branded ourselves as O-Tokusho, a talk show about, you know, otaku culture. And otakus aren't just anime and manga, right? They're basically just nerds.
Okay,
I know that the word itself basically translates to somebody who enjoys anime and manga. Like in America, they were specifically like a comic book nerd. Because of how diverse nerd culture has become in the modern era, I have no doubts that otakus of all shapes and sizes also enjoy video games and movies and all of those types of things. Like, as long as it's within the nerd space, I think it will be fine. We don't even need to consider it stretching that much. Now, if we started doing fucking, like, historical retrospectives about, like, periods of Japan's history, then no. That doesn't really count. We're not
I'm sure a certain friend of ours would be excited to hear about that, but we don't make our content for him.
One friend of ours would be... We don't. Also, he's weird. He's like the only guy who would be super interested.
Don't aspire to make our content for him.
No.
You know who you are.
It might limit the audience that we have. Yeah. It might limit our limited audience even further.
Because if that's the case, I'd love to do a fucking retrospective on the Disgaea series. I'm planning on doing like a full stream like playthrough of all of them, except for 3 because Nipponichi Software won't fucking port 3 to PC.
Oh, yeah, it has the same problem that that like Bloodborne has. They just absolutely refuse to make ports and stuff for it for some reason. I do not know
why. The only possible...
Yeah, it seems like wasted money.
Yeah, no, I would totally buy it, because it's probably one of my favorites in the series story-wise. Also, I don't think Disgaea D2 is on here either.
It's still weird that they have previous ones and not the sequels, and then the sequel to the sequels that they didn't have.
They have 1, 2, 4, 5, 6...
Yeah, that's about as fucked as the release schedule for the Final Fantasy games in North America.
Ridiculous.
We got those in like weird order too, which is why the numbers don't match up.
Like I said before, the only reason I could possibly think of why they haven't put 3 on here yet is just because the main character's English voice actor is Vic Mignogna.
But his controversy was proven to be bullshit, and it's been over for like 2 years.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
It's not a very strong argument,
but it's the only one I can think of.
Or at least not anymore. Has he been getting work again, by the way?
I hope so, but I haven't... Let me check.
Me too. Because I don't know if he has been, but I really hope so, because oh god, it's so bad whenever this shit happens to somebody. And it ends up hurting their career anyway, even though they did nothing wrong.
He just got in a series called Cosmic Dawn.
Okay, good.
It's pretty dry, 2019 on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd imagine that would be the case regardless, but at least he's getting some work, which means it'll blow over eventually,
I hope so, too. Yeah, I guess in terms of...
like, more content. You'd like... that would be, like, one of your next projects you'd like to tackle then. Would be doing a Disgaea thing. Yeah.
Let's see what else. Just in terms of like stuff that's going on right now. I'm trying to worm my way into the VTuber scene. It seems like it'd be kind of fun to try and like do that. Obviously there's like a lot that I don't know. Like everything's kind of in the air right now.
Yeah. And as far as I'm aware, there's a pretty specific like technology and price barrier to get past to start being a VTuber.
I've been looking into making my own model, and that shit is rough. Because you have to make layers for everything.
I mean, the recommendation for VTubing is that you use the free models, because there are free models that are available to everybody, until you get enough, funds or followers to justify getting a custom model. Now, mind you, getting a free model still requires you to get the programs to do it, and have a PC strong enough to run it.
I don't think I have to worry about that with my PC. I've been using a PNG tuber, as it's called.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at it. It's nice. Of course it has horns.
I mean, you have to have some kind of flair. I couldn't just, additional thing.
Well, although, the funny thing is, at this point, because of how saturated the community is, being just, a regular-looking guy might actually help you stand out more. than being another demon succubus cat person. Because that is 95% of the community. And if they don't start that way, they always have at least 2 models that end up that way.
But yeah, for right now I'm just using that fucking VitoTube program to just have a PNG tuber. And I'm just kind of going with that for right now.
I mean, it'll at least give people something to look at.
Yeah, exactly. I'll see how that goes.
You can't exactly make your VTubing model a Subway Surfer.
That would be kind of funny, though.
That would be hilarious. Just like do a human cropped out like version of a Subway Surfer video on loop. That's your model. It's so good at keeping the attention of people below the age of 20. It's insane.
And honestly, kind of above the age of 22. Honestly.
Well, not normal people.
Yeah, okay.
Alex.
I can't really stand in that normal person bracket.
Yeah, above the age of 24. Not standard people. Not saying worse, just literally just not standard. You could have alternative skins that are like kinetic sand, or like power washing or something.
If you ever want to like do some streams on your own, I can give you like the logins for the accounts or whatever.
Yeah, for the accounts and everything. I just haven't been like in a steady or standard enough schedule yet, because I just got a job. So once I get like a routine going, I should be able to like schedule some days where I can realistically do streams. Because I want to do art streams if I'm going to stream
I think that'd be fun.
There's 2 games I would be willing to stream, and then okay, that's a lie. There's 2 games and then a game series I'd be willing to stream. The games in question being, I'd be willing to stream Pokemon, or not Pokemon, sorry. Well, yes, but that's not what I mean. Skyrim as one of the games, specifically. Because I'm very, very experienced in that game, and I just want to show people dumb shit. And the other singular game would be Dark Souls 2. Specifically Dark Souls 2. Because nobody else plays it because it's bad, but it's the one that I know the best. And the game series is Pokemon. Because I really like Pokemon, and it does fucking numbers for streams.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's Pokemon, and there's so many ROM hacks for it. There's effectively an infinite number of versions of Pokemon you could play. But outside of those games, though, I'd like to do art streams where, like, I just, draw things that people recommend or suggest in a chat just for the goofs. And I have a couple of friends that I can invite to do it with me that I know like to do art stuff. They are terrible at art, but they like doing it, which makes it funnier and also very wholesome.
We could do Gardic phone streams.
The Gardic phone would be very funny. I used to make MS Paint drawings a lot more frequently when I was younger, so now that I'm older, whenever I go back to doing stuff like playing, Scribble.io or any of the Jackbox games that involve like drawing in your phone, which is effectively like using MS Paint, some of the shit on there is horrendous, but also hilarious. I actually got a shirt 2 days ago that I ordered from playing a game of TKO. It's such a good shirt. I can share it with you later, but I'm not sure if I should say it on stream here. It's not because of like anything I guess non PC or whatever. It's just really gross. That would be very fun to be able to do like art streams and play some of the art games with any of our mutually artistic friends. But yeah, I mean that's basically what we've been doing, right?
We're gonna be doing.
Yeah, life stuff was making it difficult to do episodes of the podcast, but we're getting closer to a comfortable enough zone to do them again. We got some projects coming up.
Hopefully, now that I'm making a bit more money, I can hire an editor for some videos to get things out.
Like expedite the process, yeah.
So, we shall see. 2023 may be our year, but we're gonna try and make it our year.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any like auspicious things that might help us at least placebo or affect ourselves into believing it's our year. Because it's the year of the rabbit, which isn't either of our birth years. It's 2023, and I don't think 23 is either of our lucky numbers. It's not a new president yet, so that we can't even, like, tag onto the, new administration, new us. Yeah, we're just in a kind of, like, an awkward phase where we're, like, in between, like, more important stuff. Do we know if there's any, like, hype movies coming out this year?
I don't know. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania just came out.
God damn it. No, that's not... We're not going to be using that as our, like, spiritual, like, totem to keep us grounded for the year. Yeah, Jesus. New Rick and Morty will be out, and they probably won't have Rick or Morty. which is...
something to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, I still have no idea how they're gonna do it, but they have announced that it's gonna happen, and I'm honestly excited because I know the writers for that team are competent enough to pull it off. I just have no idea what they're gonna do because the voice actor for like 80% of their cast is gone. They must have saved so much money too by only having like Justin voice fucking everybody.
Well, I guess we'll fucking see how things play out.
Yeah, we'll find out. So, that's the show, I guess.
We'll catch you next time with whatever the hell it is we put out next.
Yeah.
Alright. Peace out.
Bye.